Hello everyone. A lot of people think tactics are important just to pick up a piece every now and again. One of the main reasons why tactics are actually important is so that you can navigate through very difficult, complex positions and allow your pieces space at times when it seems like they can't really go anywhere. So let's look at this game as an example of this. This is actually a miniature played between the very strong Romain Edouard GM against Henry Mohamed Steel, and this was played in 2012 at the Olympiad in Istanbul. We have a Sicilian on board, and Steele plays his French variation, as he usually does. D4, the trades, and now Steele goes for Queen C7. This is called the Bastrikov. And okay, quiet moves in this variation are moves that I've showed with these arrows. Instead, one of the critical ways of playing against it is to go Knight DB5, and black really needs to go Queen B8 to look over that D6 square. Instead of going Queen B8 and doing something like Queen D8, black gets blasted on the dark squares after the move Bishop F4, just prying open black's position and trying to defend with E5, black can even afford just giving up that knight for now. Queen A5 check doesn't help at all, just simply Bishop D2, and I think this is even game over for black here. So Queen C7 is inviting Knight B5, but is planning Queen B8. So instead of a quiet move, and instead of going for Steele's preparation, the GM goes F4. Okay, maybe this is also part of Steele's preparation, but he's still being aggressive, but on his own terms, I think. So this sees A6, just closing B5, and Knight Xc6 is asking for some kind of positional concession from black's side. Is he going to go Queen takes C6, which means he's only moved his queen during the game, or B takes C6, or D takes C6, doing different things to the pawn structure. Steele decides on Queen takes C6, Bishop D3, and B5. Queen E2 is actually a positional way of playing this position, saying that B4 can be met by Knight D5, Bishop E7, Bishop D2, and Bishop C5, stopping the queenside castle. But this is the Grandmaster's plan in any case, queenside castle. And now Steele is being quite provocative with the move B4. I think he knows Knight D5 is really a possibility, so he plays Knight E7, actually just giving up that pawn on B4. And the Grandmaster doesn't want the pawn. He just decides to go kingside. You could take that pawn, but the Grandmaster is not tempting fate. He castles and F5, now prying open the position. And this is moment one in the game that I want to look at. Steele could have really gotten a very sharper position with more play if he'd gone E takes F5, D takes F5, and Knight D5, realizing that the trade on D5 would suit him actually, and something like Bishop E4 doesn't work. So I think he was afraid of going for this because of the move Bishop E4. And Bishop E4 here doesn't work because of Knight F4, hitting this queen, and captures comes with check, so you're picking up material, and now suddenly white is overloaded on the E4 square. If he moves his queen, now simply black can capture here. And my other point was that if you try capturing the queen, you're also losing material, like so. So instead in the game of going for this, he went for Bishop D4, which is also a very fine move, just placing this bishop on a very strong diagonal. So the Grandmaster goes Rook H F1, getting behind that F pawn which he wants to push further, and now we see E takes F5, E takes F5. And now I was expecting Knight D5, but Knight D5 is very tricky in this position, and it wasn't played. A5 was played, and A5 feels a bit slow, like the attack isn't really getting going on the queen side. Instead, we can look at Knight D5. This should really have been looked at in the game. Bishop E4 is kind of playable now for white, I think. Bishop takes E3 is the idea, though, from black. And now after trading on E3, the move Knight C3 is a trick in black's camp. And the idea is very similar to the previous position, that the bishop on E4 is hanging and the queen is hanging with check. So white should really just go B takes C6, B takes C3. Going for the queen actually loses some material in a very complex way. So this is check, so the king needs to move, and he wants to pick up this knight, king D2. Black can simply pick up the bishop and then go after the knight and pin the king and rook in the end. So this is how black's picking up material, because of that pin right at the end of the variation. So after Knight D5, Bishop E4, Bishop takes E3, you need to taking on d5 is your option then as black, but then simply queen takes d5 and going for e3 now, opening up that square, you lose that pawn on a2. So black has got more than enough compensation and might even be in the driver's seat here. So it's not to say that after knight d5 bishop e4 needs to be played, but if it was, then black seems to be doing really fine tactically. Okay, so that brings f6 to the game after the move a5. So a5 instead of knight d5, and then f6. We have knight g6, f takes g7, rook fe8, and black brings another rook to the game. Bishop c4, going after that f7 pawn, and d5. And here I thought that Steel was actually, he had some nice tactics in mind after bishop e5, which seems to pin that rook. Instead in the game we saw queen e6, instead of these nice tactics that I thought he had in mind. Let's quickly look at them. I thought his idea was rook takes e3. And after rook takes e3, bishop takes c6. The only way for white to really keep advantage is to go bishop takes c6, rook takes e2, bishop takes b7, and rook a7, defending that f7 pawn after bishop takes d5. Very deep idea. And now black can even trade off these bishops to make sure there's no discovery on his own bishop. And after rook e3, just rook e7, and white is definitely better, but with a very small advantage. This is after the move, rook takes e3. The other ways white can play actually might cost him the game. If he goes bishop takes e3, now bishop takes e3 check, and queen takes e3, can be met by queen takes b5, and suddenly black has got two minor pieces for the rook. Or instead of bishop takes e3, if queen takes e3 being funny, now we can just have bishop takes e3, and now you need to recapture that queen, but this intermezzo comes with check, and yet again black is playing up with the two minor pieces. Though this is endgame, it might be a bit different. So this is what I thought the idea was in the game after bishop e5, was to go rook takes e3, and this would have been a tactical idea to keep the position going really well. Instead in the game we saw queen e6, and this was a bit more mysterious because this isn't doing anything. It's just pinning the queen and rook for the time being, and white should have really just gone bishop takes e8. The idea being you really need to recapture this bishop because he's going to play with an intermezzo takes on f7 check before he reacts to your plan. And now just move rook d1, and white is playing up some material. Instead of in the game of going for capturing the rook, we saw the move after queen e6, we saw the move rook d1. So the grandmaster is also playing with some mysterious ideas in mind, maybe not realizing the full tactical potential of bishop takes e8 immediately. Now still goes queen e5. He should have really tried bishop c6 here. And bishop c6, he might still have been down 2 pawns going into the endgame, but says the computer, but the bishop c6 holds stuff better than his aggressive idea, queen e5, going after the king. So we see bishop takes e8 now realizing the full potential and the tactical motif behind bishop takes e8. Bishop takes b2 check, and this seems dangerous for white because you're kind of allowing this attack, but bishop takes f7 comes with check, and now king takes g7 is the forced move, and knight f5 check, again another forced move. And it's in this position that's Steel resigned because of the second check that this move came with. So both these moves were possible because of the check motif, allowing them to come with tempo. So okay, why does he resign in this position? Okay, well, basically you're not doing anything with your threat anymore because the queens can simply be traded. The knight just moved with check, and trying to go for some material doesn't work. There's no material to be gained. Knight h6 comes with a double check, moving your king, and white can just simply trade, and your checkmate threat is no more, and you might be getting mated yourself. I don't think there's escaping the rooks coming to the 7th and just killing your king there. So yes, just a great game. The grandmaster realizing the full tactical potential of his pieces in the position in the end, and probably that getting him the game. I hope you enjoyed this game. Please go watch some of my other games if you enjoyed this, and subscribe to the channel if you want to keep up to date with the content. Thank you.